This meeting is being recorded.
Testing, testing.
Metro TV, 1 minute, please.
I'll tell you a story later.
Okay.
Good evening. Welcome to the Committee on Government Audit and Oversight. I'm your chairperson, Councilwoman Purvis. I'm joined today by my co-chair, Councilman Piagentini. We're joined in chambers by Councilman Kramer, Councilman Reed, Councilman JJ, Councilwoman Bass, Councilman Reno Weber, Councilwoman Hawkins. And we are joined virtually by Councilwoman Paula McCraney, and I'm sorry, we're also joined by Councilman Leninger. Clerk, would you please read the disclaimer?
This meeting is being held pursuant to KR 61.826 and Council Rule 5A, read in full.
Thank you. We're going to switch some things around today. We have a discussion, but we only have 4 appointees, so we're going to put those on first so that we won't tie up their evening. The first one that we have is the, AP 031825, Appointment of Miguel Rodriguez to the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Term expires June 30th, 2028. Can I get a motion and a second?
Second.
Probably motion and second. Ms. Jackson?
Althea Jackson from Mayor Greenberg's office. So we are asking for the appointment of Mr. Miguel Rodriguez to the Board of Zoning Adjustment. The purpose of this board is to hear and decide applications for conditional use permits, subpoena witnesses, hear and decide applications for variances and non-conforming use issues, and to also hear appeals of any decisions from a zoning enforcement officer. There are 7 members on this board. Not more than 2 members of the board may be citizen members of the Planning Commission. The remaining members must be citizens. They serve a 3-year term. This seat will be filled. It was vacated by Ms. Lula Howard, who resigned. Mr. Rodriguez is out of Metro Council District 10. He's Hispanic, male, Republican. We've been hearing complaints that Spanish-speaking people are coming to the board meetings and can't be heard. And so this is an effort to help with that. Mr. Rodriguez is a founder and CEO of Vision Housing Investments. He has experience with marketing and sales, real estate investment, and negotiations. He has an English and Spanish-speaking podcast, which focuses on investments. He is here in the chambers to speak with you or to introduce himself to you.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Miguel Rodriguez. Thank you for taking my consideration to be here today, and I'm answer any questions that you have.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Rodriguez. I wanted to know, in looking at your resume, it looks like you've done a lot in real estate, both residential and commercial.
Yes.
And I just wanted to ask you, in the event that something that you had interest in came before you, would you be comfortable recusing yourself?
As far as, to my understanding, when I spoke with Brian, there won't be any conflict of interest. If I'm submitting like an application or something like that, I will be completely out of the room and I won't be involved in that decision.
You would be what, sir?
I won't be involved in that decision.
Okay, thank you. And I want to ask you, we have had quite a few applicants come before the Board of Zoning Adjustment for conditional use permits for illegal transitional houses. Do you want to offer your opinion on that, or what do you feel about them? There's a number of them in certain parts of town where property is more affordable. Don't know if you feel comfortable speaking on that. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just want to know if you could give me your take on that.
Could you repeat the question again? I didn't understand that part, the first part.
In certain parts of town, we have a lot of illegal transitional homes. And oftentimes we find applicants come to apply for conditional use permit after they have already been operating. I just want to know if you have any knowledge of transitional homes, how they work, how they operate, and what is your take on that?
Honestly, first time I hear about it. I don't have much understanding of that, but I feel like if there's a law, it has to be respected. So. Okay.
All right. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I think when I spoke with Brian, he set up the expectations right, and I'll be happy to take on this opportunity.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Councilman Piaggettini has a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. More advocacy to talk about what Ms. Jackson discussed. We actually did pass a resolution a bit ago on really attempting to say that if there were opportunities to ensure if certain populations that were not native English speakers, right, were attending or participating in any way in the government process, that we do our best to ensure that we have translation services and things like this. So obviously you're bilingual, so that will help with anybody that attends who's Spanish speaking. But we even had a meeting here where something went through the Planning Commission, ultimately came here for a vote, and a lot of the people who were attending, we did get a translator that attempted to help translate the proceedings and what was going on. But I would say we would love your input, both at the board and commission level, but anything that you can get to us in order to improve the education and the translation services for the Spanish-speaking community in the area to ensure that they understand what their rights are and that their voice is heard throughout this process. So appreciate your help with that. It's not a question, just advocacy, and glad to have you on the board and appreciate your ability to serve, your desire to serve. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think, it's one of the reasons I'm here. I'm all about giving back to the community, and definitely the Hispanic community have been growing over the years in Louisville, Kentucky. And I'm Cuban originally, came to the States in 2011, so I've seen it grow a lot during the years, and I'll be happy to put my little piece of help in there. So,
Excellent. Thank you so much.
If there aren't any other questions,
Thank you so much for being here, and really appreciate this work. It's such an important committee. Can you talk a little bit about why this is the particular area that you want to serve in?
honestly, I was served with the opportunity, and I'm involved in real estate. And like Ms. Jackson was saying, I do have a podcast that we inform the community as far as how to invest in real estate and some of the laws and things like that. So honestly, just looking to continue to learn and put give some back to the community. I've been part of these. Like he was saying, I could be a good help. So I think honestly, it's a good opportunity overall.
Great. Thank you for your willingness to serve.
are there any other questions? We're ready to vote. This calls for a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we go back to this committee.
Our next appointment is of Leslie Schaefer to the Greater Louisville Lodging and Management District Board. Term expires May 1st, 2026. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
Properly motion and second. Ms. Jackson?
So the Greater Louisville Lodging Management District Board is a board that has prescribed seats on it. But first, this board provides finance and economic improvements to a specific designated properties, lodging properties within Louisville Metro. They either have 51 rooms or more within the district, and for the purpose of this board, there are not more than 15 members on the board. There are 4 ex officio members on this board. The members they serve a 3-year term. There are 4 owners or their reps that have 150 rooms or more. This particular seat today is for 150 rooms or less. So there are four owners of 150 or more, 4 owners for 150 or less. The mayor has 2 appointees on this board and 1 appointee from the Louisville Tourism. The executive committee of the board nominates and submits names to the mayor. This particular seat we're asking for is for Leslie Schaefer, female Republican. She is filling a vacancy of a room, as I said, of a property that is 150 rooms or less. She serves as the general manager for the Aloft Louisville East. She has lots of experience in hospitality management, sales, and business development. She is on the call tonight, so she is happy to introduce herself to you and answer any questions you may have about for her.
Hi, Ms. Schaefer.
Hi, my name is Leslie. Thank you all for all being here. Thank you for having me. And I'm here for any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Leslie Schaefer? Well, Thank you for being here. We don't have any questions for you at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next appointment is appointment of Elaine Duncan to the Land Bank Authority Board. Term expires February 28, 2028. May I have a motion and a second, please? It's properly motioned and second. Ms. Jackson?
So the land bank's purpose is to acquire the tax delinquent properties, properties that have become blighted or deteriorated as defined in KRS 99.705. There are only 3 members on this board. One is appointed by the mayor and approved by the council. One is appointed by the superintendent for the Board of Education, and one is appointed by the governor. They serve 4-year terms. We are asking for the appointment of Ms. Elaine Duncan. She is going to be filling the seat that was vacated by Ms. Jackie Floyd. Ms. Duncan is a Russell homeowner. She volunteers in the Russell Place of Promise and the Parks Alliance. She offers historic tours of the Russell area, and she has purchased property for her side yard out of the land bank. So she is very familiar with the land bank. She is here today to introduce herself to you and answer any questions that you may have.
Hello, my name is Elaine Duncan. Thank you for considering me for the appointment. I can answer any questions that you all have for me.
Yes, Mr. Councilman.
Just love to ask a similar question. What is it that interests you in serving in this particular way?
Just like Ms. Jackson said, I have a property that I got in 2008, and it was a vacant lot, and I was able to purchase my home. We had it built. We also added an addition to a 2-car garage. So I know the importance of having property in the area.
Well,
Good evening, thanks for being here. So will you be acquiring any property while you sit on this board?
No, not at this time.
I just want to say thank you so much, and thank you to Althea and the mayor's office. One of the things that I'm so interested in boards and commissions is bringing people onto those boards who have lived experience of engaging with the systems, particularly people from the most impacted communities, and this is a perfect example. Thank you so much for your willingness to serve, and appreciate the intentionality of this appointment.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say I really appreciate you for what you've done. It seems like you have a vision that you can help others. A lot of people don't have the courage to do what you did, and I'm so proud of you doing that, really. So I think you will be a great asset to this board, and I really think you'll be a great asset to other potential home buyers who don't know the value in owning a home and what you can do with that home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those that oppose say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last appointment of the day is Amy Brooks to the Nulu Review Overlay District Committee. Term expires February 26, 2026. May I please have a motion? Second. It's been properly motioned and second. Ms. Jackson.
So the Nulu Review has prescribed seats. The seat we're asking to be filled today would be of a member, a staff member or commissioner. The way it reads is a staff member or commissioner of the Louisville Metro Planning Commission. And so Amy Brooks is a staff member of the Planning and Design Services. I won't go into her. She is here today, but it is a prescribed seat. She works for Planning and Design Services. She is replacing Andrea Luego. She's a planning resource supervisor, and she has worked on the comprehensive review team. We are asking to move forward with this appointment. Would you like to come up, Amy?
Good evening, Amy Brooks, Office of Planning staff. I think I've seen quite a few of you at public hearings during my tenure with the Office of Planning, so thank you for considering my nomination to this board. I really look forward to serving on it. I know it's a prescribed seat, but the design review is not something that I have a lot of experience in, so I'm always willing to learn. I absolutely would love to serve on this board, and I appreciate your time here today.
That means a lot because I know you're really busy in what you already do.
And I think that will translate well to my job as I've taken on a planning resource supervisor position, you know, explaining to individual applicants and members of the public exactly what these design guidelines are when you are buying or purchasing property in these overlay review districts.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, no questions. We ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Councilperson Purvis. Nice seeing you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you.
Our last item on the agenda today will be a discussion with the Louisville Metro Housing Authority on an interim report on the investigation. Hello. Hello there.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm just going to do a quick background and intro for the committee members and the public. So going back to sort of mid to late last year, we did a resolution to begin an investigation into the Louisville Metro Housing Authority. At the time, there were all kinds of reports of issues with LMHA, and actually, it was our colleague, Jacory Arthur, helped identify some of these, and he co-sponsored this resolution with me, and I think others were on it as well, to begin this investigation. So as is our way of conducting investigations, we start with the resolution, and from there, we did an RFP to hire a consultant, and that is Dean Dorton. We have Jody Wren, who represents Dean Dorton, who's the lead investigator that's been conducting this. Over the past 6 months or so that they've been working on this, we have had regular updates from Dean Dorton, as well as meetings with our new LMHA leadership. And as we've done in the past related to these investigations, the investigation is not complete yet, but I thought it'd be appropriate, we're about at that interim phase, to have Jody come in, give the council members an idea of what she's observed, what's going on, sort of where is the investigation at this point, and some sense of the direction they're going in for the next couple months before we get to a final report so that we can ask any questions and get anything answered at this point. I do want to continue to caveat, this is preliminary, this is an interim report out. I did not ask Jody to bring any formal materials at this point, but obviously when the investigation is over, we will have a final report out, including documentation on that. So with that said, Jody, if you could identify yourself for the record first, name and company, and then you can start with your report out. Thank you very much.
Awesome. My name is Jody Wren. I am an associate director with Dean Dorton, a risk advisory firm here in Louisville. My team, as well as we are we have a co-source partner that's working with us on this important investigation, Lacey McNary with McNary Group. She wasn't able to be with us here today, but she's been helping us, and they are a multidisciplinary consulting firm helping us with interviews of residents to get their lived experience as part of this work. Since my experience tends to be more in the housing as well as financial aspects, we thought it was good to partner with McNary Group on the getting the lived experience portion. This project has been going very well. We have found LMHA to be very informative and getting us up to speed. We've learned a lot of things. I meet with the Chief of Staff, who is actually here today. We meet every other week on a telephone call. She's been providing us information as we request it. I meet with the CEO periodically as well as Councilman Piagentini on a monthly basis just to keep everybody up to speed. We have been interviewing subject matter experts as part of this investigation. Recently met with representatives from HUD, representatives from Winterwood Management, Coalition of the Homeless, as well as an organization in Columbus, Ohio, just to gain some experience or some information to help us as we review this. We've reviewed lots of documentation related to the Inspire maintenance reports that are done on an annual basis, the LMHA's policies that are in the process of being revised, but looking at their current policies, looking at the occupancy rates, as well as resident surveys that they had. We've learned quite a bit. One of the unique things with LMHA is that they're considered a move to work entity, which gives them some flexibility in how they're how they're able to fund allocations. It doesn't increase their funding, but it allows them to choose, the best way to use the funding that does come to them. But we've also learned a lot of the constraints that they live in or that they have to operate in, dealing with a lot of the inadequate funding in how the appropriations come down through HUD and how they haven't been fully funded over the years, deteriorating the amount of money that they have to help them with maintenance, help them with building new infrastructure, et cetera. We've also learned that, I guess, when they did the Inspire inspections, that 8 of their developments have failed to meet those requirements, so that they are in some form of disrepair due to this lack of funding that they haven't had access to, that have dealt them some difficult challenges. In addition, we know, through all of the information that Dosker Manor they've chosen after evaluation that Dosker Manor is not able to be brought up to reasonable standards. So they're in the process of relocating those 600 plus families, and I think have moved a lot of them. And that is not an easy task. You would think it would be, but it's not, because they're trying to find them the right housing and doing all of the things that related to relocation. And then we'll ultimately demolish Dosker Manor and then begin the process of determining how to not necessarily rebuild it in particular, but how to use that land that Dosker Manor's on. The pandemic, we also learned how the pandemic exacerbated a lot of the issues. They have a lot of back rent that is due from residents that weren't paying, which also creates barriers in them trying to find new places for them to live, because unless they're in a repayment plan, HUD regulations are very stringent. They can't write off the debt, and a family can't be moved if they have back payments that they're not making payments on, and we're already dealing with low-income people. So it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. They have current staffing shortages in their maintenance department, which also exasperates the ability for them to do what they need to do to answer resident complaints, do the ongoing maintenance that is exasperated by the age of these buildings, et cetera. So we have been learning a lot and basically feeling a lot of the pain that LMHA is going through. Just to give you some idea of where they are. So that's a lot of the history, and I'm sure I'm repeating a lot of what you already knew, but they brought in a new CEO who is working hard to restructure the departments. They recently have gone through a strength, weakness, opportunities, threat analysis as part of their strategic plan process, meeting with every department to come up with, what they need to do to improve the coordination within the organization. They recently finalized their strategic plan and have issued that to the public. They're in the process of revising and in some cases developing standard operating procedures across the organization that they're sharing with us so that we can look at that and just identify if there's any gaps. They've been really doing a good job. They contracted with an HR resource consultant to do a full process review of their whole, human resource department and structure across the organization. They're in the process. I'm not sure if they've fully decided, or if they fully selected somebody, but they're contracting with a third-party firm to look at their operating practices around maintenance and how can they improve in the situation they're currently in with low staff. How can they improve hiring? How they can, execute what they need to do. They're implementing new safety measures, cameras, et cetera, across the facilities, addressing maintenance backlogs. They're just doing a lot. So as we meet with them, they're just sharing all the activities they are doing. And so what we're doing is kind of synthesizing all that information, again, meeting with them regularly, trying not to get in the way of what they're doing, but also be able to make informed recommendations to them on other things that they may look like. Since they're in the middle of doing so many things, sometimes it's good to kind of have a third party come in and look at it to help them come up with some areas that they're that might be in their blind spots because they're so focused on the big things that are right in front of them. Trying to see if there's anything else. So our hope is we'll be meeting with, our McNary group will be meeting with residents, I think, later this week to try to get a feel for them. We're hoping to eventually potentially meet with some of the maintenance staff just to get a sense of what their challenges are, to make sure that we're fully addressing them, and then we'll be coming up with a comprehensive results from all of this and present a final report hopefully by the end of June, and schedule any follow-up assessments that may need to come with looking at any corrective action that comes out of that report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I had a question. With your SWOT analysis and you consulting with an HR specialist, have you had to make any change in personnel as a result of it?
I believe that they could probably speak to that a little bit better, but a SWOT analysis is where you look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for everything, and then they have done some restructuring, and they have hired positions. For instance, they never had a chief of staff in the past, and they brought that position on to help them. They're looking at restructuring their maintenance department. So they have looked at restructuring to create more continuity and open up the communication. They're also moving into a new facility that they said will help facilitate more collaboration than they are in their current facility. So.
And I know this is a tough industry to be in, where the majority of your tenants are on public housing payment scale, but I would expect there to be some sensitivity. A few years ago, a substitute teacher, a few years ago, one of the personnel at the school that I was in, one of her neighbors called to let her know that she was being evicted, and the lady just lost it. So I was able to take her to her apartment, and the maintenance people from Louisville Metro Housing Authority, they were there throwing all of her belongings in the dumpster, all of her medications. But what they didn't throw in there was things that they wanted to keep, like a flat screen TV and any valuables. They did not throw those in a dumpster, and she never was able to claim those things. But they threw all of her medicine that kept her alive in the dumpster, so she had to dumpster dive to find her medicine, and that was pretty gross. And I just remember being there with her, and they were really, really nasty to her. So I didn't say a whole lot, but I do hope that they go through some type of sensitivity training. I can't imagine how I would have felt had that been me.
No, that makes sense. And from what I'm hearing, they are doing some full-scale looking at the training opportunities that the staff need. They did find out that was a huge gap, that employees weren't getting the trainings that they needed. And I know that they are working on that to ensure communication is clear, to ensure as sensitive as you can be in those situations, that's being handled in the most respectful way possible. I know Elizabeth has taken on, it appears, a very hands-on approach, meeting with staff. She's not afraid to go out and talk to staff from what I'm witnessing. So I hate that happened. Yeah.
I do like that about her, that she's not afraid to talk, but it still needs to be known and be told that Louisville Metro Housing Authority has a history of employees that are just really nasty and abusive to the tenants and the public. So that needs to be known, and I'm hoping that is dealt with.
Councilman Purvis, if I can respond to that. I'm Alicia Ariati, Chief of Staff. Since Executive Director Strojan has taken over, we have implemented trauma-informed care and training for all of our staff that interact with our residents. So we encourage, obviously, we don't want what you just described to continue to go on, which is why we implemented that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, yeah, well,
Yeah. Oh, okay, go ahead.
let's go, Scott.
That's fine. Okay, well, thank you. I have a series of questions. I was definitely hands-on with LMHA from the beginning of this investigation, went all through Daska Manor. One of the things that I want to talk about is the structure. The structure, since these events had occurred, I want to know how hands-on are you, right? And not only how hands-on are you, but how long you have been there. And then that'll lead me to my next question.
So Ms. Wren is just doing the audit, so
Yeah,
she's an outside.
right.
Okay. So she and I have been meeting every other week, and I've been uploading documents for her to review, and then we've been having conferences if she has follow-up questions on that. So that's been my interaction on the audit. Is that?
Okay, yeah, answered me perfectly. So she's just been kind of like consulting back and
Correct.
forth, right?
And yes,
no
and I've been
hands-on,
her-
no pop, just
Right.
communication, right?
Yes.
Okay, my next question is, how long have you been in the role that you're in?
8 months.
8 months, okay. Which also leads me to LMHA has transitioned from an open door policy of being able to go in, go to the desk, to now a call center. Is that not correct?
We now have a call center that
Yeah.
is fairly up to date. I believe we've had a call center previously. We have had walk-in hours to our offices. I believe you're for Section 8, is that what you're referring to?
Correct.
And now we have moved to appointments. We got a report, we've updated our call center, so previously we had reports that people would wait online, would wait on the phone for hours. The wait time now is about 20 minutes, and we are upgrading that system. Probably in the next month, we'll have it upgraded so that we can call you back, so you don't have to wait online. We've also increased our staff, so we have more staff answering phones at our offices so that we can decrease that. That's part of our turnaround plan.
Okay, so let's talk a second about the Section 8 vouchers. There's a hold on them, correct?
There is currently a hold.
All right. And why is that?
Because we brought in new leadership there who discovered that some of our processes were not being done correctly. We had a third party audit that, and we need to go through and basically clean up our files. And so we have a limited amount of vouchers that we can issue that's given to us by HUD through a calculation. And until we reconcile our books, we certainly don't want to give out vouchers that we don't have funding for.
Okay, and my last question, and I'm going to put this on record. I love Elizabeth Strojan. She's very transparent. Anytime I call her and ask her for anything, but I'm a more go see myself person. So that's why I know that these series of questions are correct. The carpet for W.J. Hodge Senior Building that is finally getting taken care of. So I want to say thank you for that. Lastly, there's also been a change in leadership. I think the black guy Keith that used to
The
be there.
Deputy Executive Director of Operations.
Right, he's
correct.
no longer there anymore, correct?
Correct.
All right, so who's been put in his place?
We have an acting Deputy Executive Director of Operations, Lucretia Sistrunk. She was our Director of Public Housing. She has taken over the acting role, and we will be opening up that position. For a national search, we actually are in the process of contacting national organizations that, like FADA and NARO, to get the word out so that we could get someone in that position.
And I know I said one more, I'm gonna get, so something that you said that just kind of stuck with me, I was hoping that you would say that during your investigation that you would have spoke with the community first. You didn't say that, which I know you said that you were gonna be speaking with the community. I know you said that you've been working with, respectfully, with this young lady here. You guys have been speaking, you've been speaking to Councilman Piangettini, but I just would, would have wanted you to talk to the community first, who was affected by a lot of these things with LMHA. So that's it. I'm done.
And I do want to clarify that part of our scope of our work is not with the voucher program. We are just looking at the public housing piece of this. And with regards to speaking to the residents, we agree with you. And we met with Ja'Cory, and we got a lot of feedback from him as well. And we're working on trying to identify and reach the residents. So we've been working on that the whole time. So it's just we finally got them set up for later this week. And our report is nowhere near done, so it'll definitely have their lived experience reflected and represented in our final reports.
Councilman Reed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for coming. Just a couple of very quick questions. You'd mentioned earlier the lack of, you mentioned HUD funding, right? So is that a lack of access to the funds or a lack of HUD funding to begin with?
To begin with. But it's my understanding and looking at, so we've done some research into looking at the funding levels, and since the 80s, it has not been 100% of what is needed. So there's a formula that is used to calculate based on units, age of property, and that is a pretty prescribed formula. But unfortunately, Congress has not budgeted the full amount needed to meet that across, and that's not just LMHA, that's across all of the public housing across the country. So
Okay.
It's been in the, is it the 70, 80%? It's a very low percentage.
So HUD funds our public housing anywhere from 100% to 98% traditionally. That funding doesn't include the upkeep and maintenance at the level that it needs to be. So what ourselves and other housing authorities have found that over the years, because there's that gap in funding, you get situations like Dosker Manor where we can't keep the maintenance up. So that's something, we're not unique in that. It's fairly standard for how it's been set up.
Okay. I mean, was that a matter of not asking for the funding?
No, it's not available.
It's just not available. Okay, understand. So my second question is, you'd mentioned a strategic plan that is being developed.
It's been developed.
The strategic plan was released last week. It's on our website.
Okay, had there not been a strategic plan prior?
We have had previous strategic plans. I don't know that we've had them every year. And with this being Elizabeth's first year, she took the year before she rolled out the strategic plan.
Okay, will she or will your report identify when the last strategic plan was made available to the public?
We can get that information for you, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Jody, just a quick question or two, and I think you hinted at this, and Councilman Hawkins, I think, said it too. And I, during this period of time, I did also get a tour of Dosker Manor with Ms. Trojan. Can you talk about at least your interim thoughts on evidence that you may have, what I'll call pre-Strojan, post-Strojan, like what might have been some of the issues pre this new leadership coming in, and what have you found historically? And then can you comment quickly on what do you see Ms. Trojan doing differently, better or worse, since she's come on board?
So I would say, since some of the prior leadership are not people that I've actually spoken to, so a lot of what I've learned has been in the media and just talking, but from what I can see is Elizabeth taking a very hands-on approach, a very visible approach. She's not afraid to roll up her hands and go meet with the residents and hear the negativity and try to respond as best she can to the negativity. And in some cases, hear some success stories, that have happened through some of the relocation out of Dosker into better, more palatable home, housing. I know that in the past, one of the things that was shared is that, every agency doing their own due diligence needs to set up reserves so that they can operate should there be a government shutdown, and they can continue to meet the obligations that they're owed landlords and et cetera, that there were they identified some reserve funds that maybe were more secured than needed to be and maybe possibly weren't being used. We're still kind of digging into that. So I think, and it's from what I guess have surmised, it just appears that maybe prior leadership wasn't as comfortable reaching out, speaking to the residents, were maybe more comfortable sitting in their office and having other people do that. Training was definitely not a top priority because people were busy doing the work and not maybe being given some of that trauma-informed training. I know the procedures from speaking with Alicia over the time were woefully inadequate and not up to date, and so she's spending an exorbitant amount of time getting those up to date so that everybody knows what the expectations are, and that is a huge undertaking. Again, updating the strategic plan, getting everybody on the same plan is another huge undertaking that I think Elizabeth's doing, trying to get everybody with the same vision moving forward.
Thank you. It sounds like a very positive shift. It's been my reaction too, but thank you for clarifying that. Thank you.
Councilman Leninger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate you speaking to the challenges with the maintenance staff levels, which is something I've heard a lot about. With the closing of Dosker Manor, the anticipated closing of Parkway Place for redevelopment, those would be, that would significantly alter, the average age of LMHA's units. Do you anticipate that that's likely to reduce the pressure on maintenance staff levels?
I don't think so.
So a couple of things with that. As we close Dosker Manor, then we're taking our maintenance staff that currently are spending a decent amount of time there, and we're posting them to other facilities. So that will definitely help. In addition, we are attempting to turn our properties to do a repositioning from our Section 8 or from Section 9 to Section 8. So if we're approved to do that, that then gives us funding from Section 8 to help with the maintenance, as well as with many of our Section 8 properties or other properties you would have, we can contract out with a different property management company to then manage those. So, for example, Beecher Terrace has Winterwood, which you spoke to, who does property management there. So the difference between our public housing and Section 8, there's different funding that goes into that, and so we do hope that that will be alleviated. I think that it will, just by updating even the buildings, even if we didn't do any of that, but certainly by changing the funding source.
Okay, and so if that went through, what would be the remaining Section 9 properties?
I would have to get, you can see in our strategic plan the list of different properties that we have. We do have other public housing. We have Shepherd Square, we have Liberty Green, but I can't name them all here, so.
Okay. And so before taking that into account, Louisville, I believe, is significantly underneath the Faircloth cap. Is that correct?
You know what, I'm not the person to ask on that, I apologize.
No, that's fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Last question will come from Councilwoman Bass.
I just want to make sure I understand correctly that housing vouchers are on hold. The results from the audit was the process was being incorrectly done. Is that correct?
Not our audit.
Yeah, this wasn't their audit. We had an outside firm, Nam McKay, come in and audit the files. And yes, there were mistakes in the way that the staff were processing the files.
So
and recertifying the files. And I will say that the intent was during the pandemic to not raise rents for our residents. So some of the incorrect favored the residents. However, it's still not, it's not up to what HUD would have us be doing.
So has someone been held accountable for doing the process incorrectly, which has resulted with people not being able to get housing?
Well, so what we have done, so some of those people are no longer here, and then our entire staff has been retrained. They went through a 2-week training and certification class on HCV and how to fill out these forms. So that's part of the protocol now, that training, that's done by an outside firm that it specializes in this, that anyone in the department has to go, that's working on these documents have to go through that training. And then we are going through all of our files and recertifying them to make sure that they're done correctly. So typically we would recertify not every year, it's not required, but regardless of where you are in the process, we're going through and recertifying every file. So that's 11,000 files.
Okay. One last quick question. So how long do we expect housing vouchers to be on hold because of this error?
I do not know. I mean, we're in the middle of auditing it, so I don't know. We don't know what we don't know. So until we get through the process, we won't be able to issue vouchers.
So there's no estimate, 6 months, 3 months, year?
I don't have that estimate.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Last question will come from Councilwoman Hawkins.
Okay. Section 8 gives out a variety of, what's the word I'm looking for? Vouchers, right? You give them out to Office for Safety, Healthy Neighborhoods. You give them out to different housing programs. You give them out to victim advocates. You give them out to a wide variety of entities and programs. Is that not correct?
Entities can apply for vouchers. We work with the COC as well, and those vouchers are based on whether we have vouchers available.
Okay, so I guess let me rephrase my question again. So if there's a violence prevention program, you could give that violence prevention program 15 vouchers to place people that's been impacted. Or if their Office for Safety, Healthy Neighborhoods may get 50 vouchers. Has it been a part of your investigation that one of the reasons may be that it's on hold is because a lot of those vouchers have been misappropriated, mishandled, and you all have to go back to actually see who really should have been awarded these vouchers or not? Has that been a part of this investigation at all?
There was not in the audit. The audit looked at our processes and how we were doing the paperwork. So I don't believe that audit showed, investigated whether if I gave you a voucher, whether you actually qualified for it in the way that I think I'm understanding your question. However, by auditing our paperwork, that this recertification verifies, okay, Alicia has met all the requirements, this is what our voucher's for, et cetera. So I don't know if that answers your question.
So
I'm not totally
research,
clear.
because I've been on the Section 8 program before. So research is when you're going back through the
Correct.
initial process, right? But you have to meet a certain criteria before you
Correct.
can even get on the program, right? So a lot of these vouchers got in the wrong hands of different people, and a little bit of everybody was getting these vouchers, and we're trying to find out really who should be receiving them and really who shouldn't. Like, let's say, for example, that if I worked at LMHA and I had access to 10 or 15 vouchers. Here, go fill this out. Here, go fill this out. And so the research wouldn't even matter if you don't meet the criteria. So my question is, has it been stopped? Because out of nowhere, these vouchers have been stopped. And, I want to follow the mayor's initiative. We need housing, right? And the Section 8 list was already long. And for somebody who's been on this program, somebody who knows this program very well, in and out, hands-on with people who are still employees of Section 8, I just need you all to get to the bottom of how a lot of these vouchers have gotten out, and they really need to be for the people that actually need them.
Yeah, and that is part of what we're doing as we're
All right,
going
thank
through
you.
all
That's
of these.
all I needed to hear. Yeah, thank you.
So I just want to say one last thing. Basically, what you're doing is checks and balances. And in doing this is when you discovered that you had more vouchers out than you had funding, bottom line. Thank you for being here. The meeting is adjourned.